You already know what time it is. Welcome back into the What Offseason Sports Podcast, everybody. The rundown for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight is the NFL awards. You know, they're announcing everything from the MVP to the Coach of the Year, and we're going to give that to you as well. And of course, Super Bowl 55 is coming on Sunday. We're going to be looking at the Chiefs, the Bucks, the kid against the GOAT. We know it's going to be a fantastic matchup. It is going down on Sunday in Raymond James Stadium. Which matchups are going to be the best? Who walks away the winner? And of course, we're going to give you a score prediction. But ladies and gentlemen, you know we don't ride solo on the show every week. We're bringing guests as always. Introducing my boy Rich from the Kangs at the Table podcast. How about them Kangs, brother? What's going on today?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm just grateful to be on your show, the biggest show, Super Bowl, man. I can't wait to get started.
Let's do it, brother. You already know that we are handing out these awards, then rolling right into the Super Bowl talk. We'll start out with the MVP of the year. Of course, man, I want you to give me yours before we get rolling today.
I'm going to go with the bad man, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he had 50 touchdowns, 5 interceptions only, but the main thing is he played with a chip on his shoulder.
Absolutely.
From the beginning. I mean, when it goes back to the draft with Jordan Love, drafting Jordan Love, instead of going for a receiver, you know, you passed on Claypool, Higgins, Pittman Jr., and that would have been a nice guy to have on the side of Adams, you know, and
Absolutely.
that could have helped him out big time, maybe even made the Super Bowl. But as invaluable, I think Rodgers is the most valuable. I don't think he's the best player in the NFL, but
right.
I'm going valuable for Rodgers.
Totally feel you there, man. Of course, I'm riding with Aaron Rodgers as well. You mentioned it perfectly. When you think about a 10-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, that's just absolutely ridiculous. Leading the league in completion percentage, passer rating, touchdowns, and just overall really getting back to his old self, playing with the chip, like you mentioned, drafting Jordan Love, a guy who wasn't even, considered great, was active for 0 games this year, and you moved up to get him. So definitely some fire underneath Aaron Rodgers, but nonetheless, we feel like he's back. And, this talk about him potentially going somewhere, I think it would be dumb for Green Bay to move on from him. So we definitely got the bad man for the MVP today. But now let's talk about this offensive player of the year. A lot of guys this year really could have got this. Alvin Kamara was making a case earlier in the year. You got guys like Derrick Henry, of course, Stephon Diggs. I am going to go with the king, of course, Derrick Henry, rushing for 2,000 yards this year, being the 8th player in NFL history to do so. The first since Adrian Peterson off of that insane injury, then winning the comeback player of the year. But speaking of Derrick Henry, his production in the game, let alone, alongside fantasy, but in the NFL as well, the value he brought and literally offering, nothing in the passing game, knowing he's going to give you 5 to 8 yards a carry, leading the NFL, I'm pretty sure, in rushing touchdowns. So Derrick Henry coming out. They do need to lay off of him a little bit. I know Tennessee next year, I don't think Derrick Henry is going to be able to continue to pound the rock like that. He could be a 16 to 1,800 yard, rushing receiver, rushing back. But I think the NFL could adjust to him and he could potentially take a downturn. But I know we might be a little different here, man. Tell me about your offensive player of the year.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to argue because, Henry is a bad man himself. He's the king. You're saying it yourself, and you said all the stats and all, but I just have to go with Stephon Diggs, man. He just balled out all season. He had the most receptions and the most yards. He led in both categories as a receiver, and he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. But to lead in both categories, and we're talking about offensive player of the year, and he brought up Allen's stock value. They brought each other up. That might be the best duo we've seen this season.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to go Diggs, man.
Absolutely. He has a lot of the credit, of course, to do with the Buffalo Bills, being able to get, Josh Allen to break out. Nobody saw Josh Allen or the Bills really playing this well this year. So they definitely overachieved. And I could definitely say that's in part to Stephon Diggs as well. Now, the defensive player of the year, a lot of people could have got this. We were talking about Myles Garrett, maybe Jalen Ramsey. Some people were saying Jair Alexander. You had, of course, Aaron Donald. So many names in the mix of this. But we'll start with the guest as always, man. Who would take home the hardware for probably the best defensive player of the year?
This year, I think he deserves it more than Donald. I'm going TJ Watt. He led in sacks with 15. It's almost like he had one per game. He sat out one game. So you can say one per game. And at that, he had 8 more tackles than Donald.
Yep.
You can nitpick in that, but most importantly, it's to put more respect on TJ Watt, especially because he has his brother JJ Watt getting all this love. Mm-hmm. But hey, TJ Watt's coming for that top spot in the family. It's time to start. Hey, is he better than Watt right now, JJ? We don't know, but defense. player of the year, I'm going TJ, man.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna go ahead and answer your question, brother. He is better than JJ Watt, but we can't accurately scale that just yet because we know JJ, took the step back a little bit. It's been dealing with some injuries, but TJ definitely learning from the bloodline. Some crazy numbers here for TJ because you hit the nail on the head. Becoming the third player to record 15 sacks, 23 tackles for loss, and 40 quarterback hits in the last 15 seasons. Just the third player, and he hasn't even been in the NFL for a long time yet, guys. And here's a bigger perspective for you. So you look at all the Steelers players, legendary, the Steelers have been a great, historically have been a great defensive team. And you look at all the pass rushers, all the linebackers that have come through there. TJ Watt is the only Steeler with 3 straight 12 plus sack seasons. And even better, like you said, led the league in sacks. He also led the league in tackles for loss, pressures, quarterback hits. I know we're coming with a lot of numbers, guys, but there's no argument as to why TJ Watt should not win Defensive Player of the Year. Second in knockdowns and third in hurries. So absolutely put on a clinic this year. You look at the Steelers, who led the league in sacks overall as a team. They were a great team defensively, and that has a lot to do with TJ Watt. And there were other players, but you gotta take a look at TJ, no question. Now we're going to talk about rookies, man. So many rookies came in this class. I had Clyde Edwards-Helaire winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I thought he had the most potential coming in, but a lot of guys broke out this year. A ton of guys broke out. And I think when I look at one guy, we know Justin Herbert could win it, and he probably will, but I'm going to bring a little diversity and go with Justin Jefferson. I definitely believe that he could win it. You look at him, 1,400 yards as a rookie, over 80 catches, and almost double-digit touchdowns with a guy like Kirk Cousins throwing to him, who isn't necessarily a great quarterback. Now, he did play well this year, no question, but when you talk about what Justin Jefferson brought to the table coming from LSU and translating into the NFL extremely well, I think you would have to give it to Justin Jefferson. Not necessarily. I know it's more of a quarterback award these days, but Justin Jefferson makes a great case. What offensive rookie stood out the most to you and would probably win it this year, though, Rich?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, based on what you're saying, Jefferson did ball out this season. He did.
Of course.
The other Justin, Herbert, he did show that he was the best quarterback this season for the rookies. And he comes
Agreed.
with a hard class with Tua, Jalen Hurts, and the list goes on with Burrow. Burrow got hurt, but that's another segment about rookie class. But
Right.
Herbert overall, he had 30 touchdowns in the air. He had 5 on the ground. And I think that's the most impressive thing is 5 on the ground, because in college, when you get these rushing touchdowns, yeah, it's okay to get them and you build up your stats. But once you hit the NFL, these linebackers are as quick as the corners. So you have to be quick on your decision. Like you see a gap, go. And that's what he's doing. And that's very impressive to me. And the Chargers' future is bright with Herbert.
Absolutely. Totally agree. And one thing you realize about Justin Herbert is the numbers. You look at the over 4,000 yards, the 33 touchdown passes or 30, whatever it was, but the low interception numbers. You see some rookies come in, will throw 15 to 20 interceptions sometimes. You look at Jameis Winston being established in the NFL, throwing 30, and Herbert comes in and throws 10 as a rookie. So you definitely got to give your hats off to him on that. Now, a lot of defensive rookies this year as well, man, were really jumping around. You had guys like Chase Young, of course, Julian Blackmon, Patrick Queen, so many guys in the NFL. Grant Delpit for the Browns. He wasn't necessarily in the talk, but a lot of good rookies that came into the NFL this year. And it was a really hefty draft haul. But what rookie stood out to you the most that you feel like would win it this year, man?
I think this one has to go to Chase Young. He's just a game breaker. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Clowney. I mean, you go back to even Peppers with the Panthers. He's a long, lengthy pass rusher. He could cover sideline to sideline, and teams coming in to play in Washington have to adjust to him being on the field. And the game plan is going around Chase Young. And I think Chase Young is starting to understand that now. And that's the crazy part, being this young. He's coming off in the pass rush, but at times he's starting to line up as a linebacker just to mess with the coordinator. Like, hey, I see that you're game planning around me, so I'm going to go as a linebacker real quick and see what you're going to do. So I like that about Chase Young. He's going to be a superstar in this league, and he also had 4 fumbles and 1 touchdown. I'm going Chase Young.
Absolutely. You mentioned those forced fumbles there, man. 3rd in the NFL as a rookie in forced fumbles. You really hit the nail on the head, the diversity that Chase Young brings to the table, how he can line up and really mess with the coordinators, or obviously be, some people potentially consider him the best pass rusher in football already. That is a stretch for me, but there's no doubt that he has that potential. He's got the speed and the strength and overall the work ethic to put his head down and evolve as a rookie so quickly. One thing that really stands out here to me is I love looking into Pro Football Focus, and they grade every player with whatever system they have, but he was the 2nd rated pass rusher overall as a rookie only behind Khalil Mack after week 12, according to Pro Football Focus. I mean, that's a lot. You consider guys like TJ Watt, who are playing this year, Aaron Donald, so many pass rushers in the NFL, right? Trey Hendrickson, Cam Jordan, plenty of names we could go through the list. But Chase Young, as a rookie, was the second overall rated pass rusher after week 12, according to Pro Football Focus. So, he's making his mark. And I'm going to have to agree with you, brother. We're definitely going to give it to Chase Young for the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now, the Comeback Player of the Year, like everybody wanted Cam Newton to win it. I know I did when Cam came back into the league. He was looking good for maybe all of 4 or 5 weeks, and then it was just kind of downhill from there. But a lot of players like Big Ben, Alex Smith, you had a lot of people that could have really fought for this award. I'm going to give it to Alex Smith personally. You look at him being able to beat the leg injury. You look at what the leg injury brought to him. He makes the playoffs. I know he didn't play in the playoffs, and it might have been in the NFC East, but he did what he had to do, put himself in the right scenario. And at the end of the day, the Washington football team made the playoffs. He came out there, played when he had to, and overall just showing that strength, being able to get back on the field. So I'm definitely going to have to go Alex Smith for my Comeback Player of the Year. Like I said, a lot of guys could have got it, but I want to know who's going to take it for you, man.
Oh, yeah, man, that's hard to argue with. I would love to see Alex Smith get that award based on that whole injury he had. He might have not came back to the NFL to play football ever again, and he came back, and like you're saying, but I'm going to go Big Ben. He just had a heck of a season. I mean, statistically, one of his best in his career under the radar. Like, you're not even talking about Big Ben when you talk about quarterbacks, because you got Herbert throwing up the same stats as him. Quarterbacks nowadays are just lining it up, but he had an injury on his elbow, on his throwing arm. And to be on your tail end of your career and come back and put up these numbers, and to have your team was the last undefeated team in the league. So I know he choked in the playoffs against the Browns, but Big Ben, he's worthy of this award.
I agree with you, man. And you know why Alex Smith is going to win? Because he beat Big Ben head-to-head, beat him from the 11-0 record, man. But hey, man, I love it, bringing the differences here. I would love for Big Ben to get it because, like you said, going out so early last year and being older, suffering, it's kind of like with Brees, suffering the ribs when you're that old. Those injuries hurt a lot more than even just 4 or 5 years before. And now, Brees was with the thumb, but Ben with the elbow, a key foundation in your throwing arm. That was tough for him to come back on. And some people were talking about him maybe, pushing for MVP if the Steelers were, did what they were supposed to do. Obviously, it didn't happen. But Big Ben coming back this year was definitely a beautiful story. Now, before we get onto the Super Bowl talk, the Coach of the Year was something that was so highly talked about. I'm going to laugh in every Miami Dolphins fan's face saying that Brian Flores is going to win it. And hey, maybe he could win it tonight, but that's why I'm dropping the episode today, because I'm confident that Brian Flores will not take it home. I'm going to give it to the Cleveland Browns head coach, of course, Kevin Stefanski, man, without question. Look at what he's done for the Browns, obviously getting them into the playoffs, winning a playoff game. And the fact that they had only won, I want to say 11 games in the last decade, and now they just won 11 games in 1 year. Look at the advancement of Baker. Obviously, OBJ left, but Baker really stepped up from that. They arguably have the best line and the best backfield in the NFL, and I'd probably look at the Browns to maybe make a Super Bowl run within the next 2 to 3 years. Call me crazy if you want, but that line is serious, and Baker Mayfield is actually evolving. But if you had to pick your Coach of the Year, man, you got to tell me who it would be.
I have to agree, man. Coach Kevin, he has to get this award. I think it has to be a lock. You got the Browns to the playoffs, and not that you're making Mayfield play the best he's ever played so far. He's looking comfortable, and he's starting to go on the field feeling like he's the best man on the field. And that's big to see from a young guy. Yep. And he had to deal with injuries with Odell, Chubb. Chubb was out. And yet you still almost won the division. We got you to the playoffs, but almost won the division with the Steelers and Ravens being in it. And then you upset the Steelers and almost upset the Chiefs. Man, that's a lot.
There, Kevin Stefanski definitely played his ass off this year. And like I said, man, him coming over from Minnesota, I had felt like he was really going to bring that maturity to the table, that foundation that they had needed, because look at the Browns last year, damn near the same talent, but Freddie Kitchens obviously didn't get the job done. You had guys in there, Hugh Jackson before, and then I don't even know who was in there before that. Just guys filling in. Baker on now his 4th coach in 3-4 years, whatever the case may be. But 11 wins, Kevin Stefanski's first year.
Adam, I got a question. You did say that they might make the Super Bowl in 2 years or 3 years?
2-3 years, man. I could see it happening.
What would be the missing thing? I mean, I know it's kind of off subject, but what's going to get them to the Super Bowl?
I think what would get them to the Super Bowl is Baker Mayfield getting a full, complete 16 games under his belt. That line evolved through the years, so I feel like that line knows their identity. And Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are playing some of the best football they've ever played. I think they're only going to get better. And overall, the chemistry and the continuity will grow. Maybe they can get another key piece in there for, Odell's absence. Obviously, they got pass rushers. The defense isn't terrible. The front seven's pretty solid. Now, they could use a safety or a corner, but I mean, overall, man, the Browns, I really do think could be a 12, maybe 13 win team next year if they come out and they've got their game plan because they've got the talent to do it. No question.
I like it, man. And that's good that you pointed it out because I'm pretty big on the Browns too. And I would love to see it.
Yeah, man, the Browns are going to be a beautiful story here within the next few years. And all the Browns haters, they'll be able to get out of town, brother. But today's episode is presented by Clark's, guys. You know, the story began almost 200 years ago with these shoes when Cyrus and James Clark made a slipper from sheepskin. I know it's kind of odd. We'll get into it, though. At the time, it was groundbreaking, a combination of invention and craftsmanship that's remained at the heart of what Clark's does. And from the very beginning, Clark's has always thought differently. Brilliant ideas are what set Clark's apart from other shoes guys, and we're teaming up with Clark's and Podgo. You know, I read the ads every week for them to bring you up to 30% off on select items by going to podgo.co/Clark's. Go get you some shoes today. 30% off with the code. Super easy. Rich, are you ready for Super Bowl 55 on Sunday, man? We're going to take a look here at some key matchups for Super Bowl 55. Who are we going to keep our eye on? And of course, I'll let you kick it off, man. You brought up Brady Mahomes. What are these two guys going to bring to the table to take home Brady's 7th or Mahomes' back-to-back title?
Well, see, the thing is, we know what they're going to bring as in making the right play and all. Right. But the thing that's going to separate these guys, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself because we know we're going to break down more, but Mahomes' legs, that's like almost the X factor of this Super Bowl. To me, it's like this is what's going to win the Super Bowl. They're going to be so close, but he's going to be able to get you those little runs when the pressure is on him because there's going to be pressure. But that's what I think about the quarterback situation is Mahomes' legs is going to be the biggest difference, man.
I agree with you there, man. And a lot of people were saying on the radio, I was listening, driving into work yesterday, and they were saying, you look at Mahomes and Brady, and when you think about the Super Bowl, when you think about those plays that need to be made in the playoffs, you kind of think back to one key play in the Super Bowl that maybe decided that. You look at the throw to Tyreek last year for Mahomes, that really sparked the comeback. It's going to come down to their thinking, a play needs to be made with the legs. Obviously, Brady's a statue, and Mahomes can get shifty with it. So I totally agree with you there. I'm going to say I'm looking forward to most is who is going to make the right decisions at the right time. And I know it might be a common sense thing of, oh, well, Mahomes really isn't a mistake maker. Well, he also has had a game this year where he's thrown 3 picks. I know Brady has as well. And Brady just threw 3 picks in the NFC Championship. Oddly enough, too, before we continue on with this, Tom Brady is 3-1 in the playoffs when throwing 3 or more interceptions in the game. Absolutely insane. That really speaks to what the defense can do for him maybe once they get down. But either way, we're back to Brady and Mahomes. I think there's going to be a point in this Super Bowl where Brady and Mahomes are going to have a key decision to make. It might slip Mahomes' mind, and I know the improv is there, but Brady's seen it all. Mahomes has not seen it all yet. This is Brady's 10th time in the Super Bowl, and we all know that. Mahomes' 2nd time. Yes, it's back-to-back, but you're playing a completely different team. You're going up against a completely different coach. It's Tom Brady as well. At the end of the day, I think the intelligence is going to separate the two here. I'm taking Tom as the advantage in this matchup. Now, let's go.
Adam.
What's up?
But let's not forget that Mahomes did play the Niners last season in the Super Bowl, and I think that might be one of the best defenses in this decade. And I don't think the Bucs defense is as good as the Niners defense last year.
I'll give that to you, but the Chiefs also weren't down potentially 3 linemen like they are tomorrow with 2 of them being out, and you've got the center on COVID. I know they've got to test negative like 5 times in a row. Robinson's missing. I want to say Le'Veon Bell might have been questionable, so it's kind of tough. I know the Bucs are healthy. The defense has come alive for the Bucs too. I know it's not the Niners defense from last year, but look, after the Washington game, they absolutely clamped New Orleans. I know Brady threw 3 picks, but like I said, that Bucs defense held down the Packers in the first half, and I feel like that defense is what's really come alive for them. And I think, right there, that's going to be able to take the game away for them. But that segues us perfectly into, like you were mentioning, the trenches as well. Mahomes might not have the same trench play this year as there was last year. And I'm specifically talking about, we'll start on the side of Mahomes, the pass rush from Tampa Bay versus the Chiefs offensive line. I just alluded to it being down potentially 3 linemen. They're down 2. They've got the center out with COVID. And that Bucs pass rush is alive. There's Vita Vea, there's Jason Pierre-Paul, there's Shaq Barrett. I mean, there's Levante David, there's Devin White. There's so many pass rushers for Tampa Bay that could wreak hell. But I mean, just sticking to the defensive line, they've got a lot of players up there. Do you feel like the pass rush could get the best of Mahomes? Or are you going to stick with the fact that you think he could really improv and save himself from danger, considering the offensive line injuries?
Yeah, for sure. I really believe the Bucs are going to get through that line, but that was my X factor is the mobility of Mahomes. Is he's okay with bringing this pressure because he's going to find a way. He could throw on the run. I mean, he could throw with his head looking at the other end zone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This dude he's special. So I really do believe the Bucs D line is going to get through that line though, because based on the injuries too.
I love it, man. Absolutely love it there. Now, another matchup that I really feel like is going to be great that everyone's going to keep their eyes on as well is going to be the Tampa Bay run game versus the Chiefs defensive line. We know the Chiefs defensive line isn't necessarily the best at stopping the run. You look at the season stats throughout the year, and Tampa Bay's run game, we know it can slack a little bit, but when it does get going with Fournette and Ronald Jones, a really underrated running back pair, in my opinion, in the NFL. And then when you can mix that up with the play action of Brady and then just Brady himself offering the lethality he does at the quarterback position and in the passing game, I think that run game is potentially going to be able to wear on them. And you know, that's shown to kind of be a weakness of Kansas City is if you can run the football on them, you can keep the game close. I know they could win a close game, but I would trust the trench play of Tampa Bay overall advantage for them to win this Super Bowl. Now, Carlton Davis and Tyreek Hill. You remember what happened the last time these two matched up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Over 200 yards in the first quarter. Tyreek Hill absolutely erupted. He could have sat the rest of the game. I mean, he was on the phone. Call him. They need help. His amazing Shannon Sharp impression. I was like, okay, we'll see, because the game was close. The game was close, and the Bucs almost came back. But Carlton Davis and Tyreek Hill is going to be one matchup to definitely keep your eyes on. Carlton Davis is definitely going to need some help. Obviously not play too much press on Tyreek, because Tyreek's ready to play, man. He's ready to win his second Super Bowl in a row. You know, being up there in the yards, being up there in the touchdowns, and just emerging even more than he did last year for Kansas City. I want to ask you, man, who is going to win this matchup? Carlton Davis or Tyreek Hill?
You know, I like Davis. He's a really good corner, but this matchup, it has to go Hill. And he's a hell of a receiver. You know, he's not, you know, you think of his quickness, his speed, but he also got hands. Like, he can catch all the balls that are coming to him. When you think about that game against the Broncos, when it was like a 50-yard pass and the ball was like on the side of his hip and it looked like it hit the ground, but he had the time to, as everything's going on, and just put the ball on his hip, and he still caught it, but they didn't challenge and it wasn't a touchdown. But going back to it, I just think Hill's he's gonna get him. And basically, based on what Miller said, Scotty Miller saying he's way faster than him, good luck, because you just woke up a beast, man.
Yeah, that's facts, bro. I thought about that, but I didn't think about the fact that, you know, now Tyreek's going to be coming out there. He's going to be seeing Scotty. Oh, Scotty, you see me? Yeah, I heard what you said, brother. Watch this. I'm about to get you, boy. I could definitely see Tyreek dominating that matchup there. I'm probably going to have to go Tyreek as well. I do believe Carlton Davis could. Yeah, it would be revenge, but I just feel like overall he would just have a better head on his shoulders, not even coming out to look for revenge. Even if Tyreek still comes out and has 80 or 90 yards, if the Bucs can still win this game and hold Tyreek in the moments that he's going to be targeted and that the Bucs feel like the Chiefs are going to need him to have that advantage, that's when Carlton Davis, the linebacking core, and just the whole Bucs defense is going to have to step up. Speaking of the linebacking core, brother, we know who Travis Kelsey is. This man is averaging 11 catches, over 100 yards, 1.5 touchdowns. We'll go ahead and say 2 in the postseason. There's no question about who Travis Kelsey is. Do you think he has a big game, like 10, 11, 12 catches, or do you feel like these Tampa Bay linebackers in the secondary are going to be able to control Travis Kelsey?
I think it's going to go either way. Either Kelsey's going to have a huge game or Hill's going to have a huge game. And if they literally lock in on Hill, then good luck stopping Kelsey, because that man could win MVP. I'm not going to say he is, because they usually give it to quarterbacks, but Kelsey is unstoppable. He's like a receiver out there, man, a big guy. He's like Gronk. It's kind of like how we compare Brady and Mahomes. Well, you can kind of compare Gronk and Kelsey. You know, Gronk's on his way out and Kelsey's coming. A Magic Johnson-Jordan situation. It's the new thing coming in, man, and it's going to be hard to stop Kelsey.
Right. I totally agree, man. And you look, now we have another Super Bowl, of course, with fantastic tight ends. Last year, we had the first and the second best tight end in the NFL facing off in the Super Bowl. I mean, you could kind of argue that again. I wouldn't say Gronk is, maybe top 3, top 4, but he's definitely up there. When it comes to postseason, he's definitely the best tight end of all time in the postseason. There's no question about that. But you look at what Kelsey could potentially do to Devin White and to Levante David. It's going to be nasty potentially if he comes out and has a game with 10, 11, 12 catches, because, like you said, if Kelsey gets going, it could potentially be hell for Tampa Bay. I put that out on social media, talking about that in my content. If Travis Kelsey can get going from the start, because he's big, he's got the speed, he's got the hands, and overall, I mean, Travis Kelsey is turning into, in front of our eyes, a legendary all-time great tight end, and winning the Super Bowl, having a big game here would just mean that much more. Would just mean that much more to him. I maybe expect a pass interference or two just because of how physical this matchup is going to be, and those linebackers in Tampa Bay are mean. That might be the best linebacking core in the NFL. So I'm going to give advantage.
There's no joke. There's no joke. I mean, that's not to overlook the linebackers. It's going to be a nice matchup, but I just for the edge.
Oh yeah, man, no question. The edge, I don't know, man. I'm going to say Tampa Bay's linebackers just because I know how physical they are. And I know Kelsey's on a tear, but I think if there's one matchup that would really decide this game, I think it would be the linebackers on Travis Kelsey, even bigger than Brady versus Mahomes, and call me crazy on that. But Travis Kelsey, he is the spark of that offense. I would maybe argue even more than Tyreek Hill. Mahomes' passer rating when targeting Travis Kelsey is 144. So go figure for how effective he is in that offense. But now we're down to the nitty gritty, man. We got all this talk. We got all this numbers out here. Who might be, who might not be a factor in this game? Who is going to be the winner, bro? Tell me, Kangs, who is the winner of Super Bowl 55?
I have to go Chiefs, man. And it kind of hurts me to say I'm a Bronco fan, but the Chiefs are the real deal. It's not going to be they're not going to dominate the game. It's going to be a good game and all, but I had to keep going back to the X factor, Patrick Mahomes' legs. They're the same exact team when you break it down. We just broke it down, matchups, corners, the trenches. They're almost the same team. And now you almost have the same quarterback. But now when it comes down to it, he's just going to be mobile enough to win. I got Chiefs, man.
What's your score prediction, man? You can't come on the show without a score, man. We talking all these numbers. Give me a score, brother.
I got you. I got 37-27. Kansas City Chiefs win double digits, back-to-back Super Bowl champs.
Oh, my goodness. The disrespect to the Tampa Bay defense. I've heard guys saying 37-20. I've heard people saying 42-35 Kansas City. I don't see, like, the over-under is 56.5. I could potentially see like a 31-27 Tampa Bay takes this one. I totally love the talk about Mahomes and the legs, and there probably will be a play where legs are going to have to be used. Who knows, man? Maybe we could have I don't remember what Super Bowl it was. Was it a Super Bowl? It might have been with the Philly special. Didn't Tom Brady try to catch a trick play pass earlier in that game? Who knows? Maybe Brady busts out an option, catches something. I don't know, man. Maybe he
don't get hurt and ruin that Super Bowl for yourself.
Right. The old man out there running. Maybe he can make a play with his legs and surprise us all, man. But my winner is definitely going to be the Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm going to say 31-27. The over under at 56.5 is actually insane. That's a lot of points for a Super Bowl. I feel like some people are saying maybe a 17-14, 21-20, 21-17. There's a lot of scores going out there, but I think overall the health is in the favor of Tampa Bay. The offense, I'd say the offenses are comparable. I know about Tyreek Hill, but I'll take Scotty Miller's speed as well. Not saying he's as fast, and not just because of that interview. We know how fast Scotty Miller is. Antonio Brown could really be an X factor. You've got the NBA power forward, basically, and Mike Evans out there catching passes from Brady. He loves being targeted in the red zone. Rob Gronkowski, compare all these players to Kansas City's offense as well. And then I'm definitely going to say, bro, without question, the advantage is for Tampa Bay in that defense when it comes to the defensive side of the football. The health is in their favor. It's all lined up for Brady. Tampa Bay's at home, 3 straight road games. We're going home to play it in our backyard, baby. Tom Brady wins number 7 in Super Bowl number 10, and he's not going to retire, and it's going to piss everybody off. And he might dominate the NFC for a few more years, but it's okay.
I don't know about all that. I don't know about continuing it, but I wouldn't be mad if he wins the Super Bowl. I'm not mad at it. That would be nice to see him 7, because that could put him as the best athlete of all time over Jordan.
Very true, brother. Very true. Absolutely. Now I want to ask you, what do you feel like could be a hiccup for Tampa Bay to maybe not be favored next year to repeat?
For next year, I mean, it's just going to be based on other teams trying to get better. I mean, depending on where Deshaun Watson goes, I would love to see him land with my Broncos because we can really contend with the Chiefs. We ain't scared of the Chiefs, especially because they're in our division. But we got the offense for them, and we got a way better defense. So I don't think it's going to be them messing up themselves. It's just what team's going to get that much better to knock them off.
I totally feel you there, man. Totally feel you there. There's going to be a lot of competition next year in the NFC. It's going to look different. They're probably going to win the division. You know, we don't know what we're going to see from the Saints. The Falcons are maybe going to do their thing. You know, they've got some players in there, but they could be the Falcons. And the Panthers, they might not be set on Teddy. So it's going to be a hell of a year next year in the NFL. But I'm happy we were able to get together today, man, and predict the Super Bowl. I can't believe it's the last game of the NFL season tomorrow. But I am going to enjoy these NFL awards tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up today's episode of the What Off Season Sports Podcast. Of course, you know I always appreciate y'all tuning in every week for the show. Please don't forget to check the description for all of our content that's in the one link. And of course, for Rich's show as well, I'll put it down there. Go check out the Kings at the Table podcast. If you're a major Sacramento Kings fan watching this show, this guy is definitely your man to go check out. Tell me what you got coming up next on your show, bro. I know you be live streaming games sometimes. What is going on with the podcast, man?
Yeah, so I mean, I just stream the fourth quarter of every Kings game, but we drop episodes every week based on any sports talk. We cover basketball, football. I'm on Instagram, like you said, Kings at the Table podcast, but I have one channel on YouTube. It's Rich Jimenez, and just subscribe there, man. Give us a follow.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Like I said, everything will be in the description, guys. My content, his content, everywhere you can find us. Like, comment, subscribe, follow. Do your thing. Share, save, everything we know that we got to do on the platforms to blow up, guys. I really appreciate y'all. And this is What Off Season signing out, everybody.